everybody, and welcome to Bad Creepypasta. We haven't got Toby today because he's busy doing something funny that we can't remember. So instead, we're joined by one of our luscious patrons. His name is Todd. Say hello, Todd.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
They can't tell you right now. They'll write in the comments
true.
if they're all right. I think. Okay, and the story which was suggested by none other than Todd himself is "The Day the Music Killed." Already off to a rocking start with the title. I was mowing my lawn, and then the next sentence is "ha ha dot dot dot."
Oh, cutting grass is so funny.
You had to make sure we were going to laugh as well.
Fucking Tommy Wiseau telling this story. I was mowing my lawn.
Just like, in brackets, applause.
That seems like such an average day. I wish it had been. Anyways, I was mowing my lawn. I know!
Any hoozle.
I had my
Just
iPod in,
reiterate that.
and I was feeling good listening to my favourite songs. But that's when something unusual happened. I heard a strange beat streaming in through my headphones. It was one that I'd never heard before. Which was strange, yeah I know, because this iPod was new and I didn't have a lot of songs.
Redundant much?
It's DMX.
The Department of Redundancy Department. But it was there nonetheless. The beat was strange, unlike any I'd heard before. It seemed to be something like a mix between dubstep and heavy metal. Those are nothing alike. It's like it sounded like a mix between mashed potato and chocolate.
Traditional Scottish meal.
Then came the words. Those words.
Such words.
Yeah. They were the most disturbing words I'd ever heard in my life. 5 more years of Cameron.
Big fucking for yeah!
They brought me close to puking. They talked about ... They talked about me ... Dying. New sentence, capital letter, and horribly too. Every description was of the most gruesome and disturbing death I could imagine, but won't write about. Until I heard the next verse, which would be even worse. Of course, we'd just complain if he didn't describe it. Every description, blah blah blah. Getting my eyes torn out by some serial killer, having my limbs slowly removed while I was tied up, being held as a slave and raped until death. It was awful. Yeah, much like this story.
So, Soulja Boy's comeback tape isn't really a hit.
I tore my headphones out and pulled my iPod out of my pocket and unlocked it. I went to my music and looked at the song that was playing. There was no album cover, no band, no song name. Just a bar that shows the length of the song and how far along you are. Well, this one had 00 on each end, but the little dot was stuck at the beginning. I could still hear the song coming out of the headphones. I pulled my headphones out, and then the song began to come out the speakers. Wow! Amazing what they can do with technology, isn't it?
My iPod worked.
The magic music box started to make noise.
I tried to pause the song, but it wouldn't work. Nothing happened. I tried to turn the iPod off, but it wouldn't. The song just wouldn't quit. So I ran into my garage, took a hammer out of my toolbox, and smashed the iPod into dust. The next day, I played it to my roommate. Finally, the song was gone, but it continued to run through my mind, and no matter what I did, I couldn't forget it. I remembered every word.
Ring, 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 ring. Banana phone.
As I went to bed, I prepared myself for a restless night. But to my surprise, I fell right to sleep.
It's so appealing. Alright, I'll stop singing. I've learnt my lesson on that.
Good. It's no baloney. Right. I wish I hadn't. I dreamed of that song all night, and all the things it described. It was the worst night of my life. But I couldn't seem to wake up. I was stuck in the dream. Yeah, I presume if you couldn't wake up. Finally, at noon, I woke up drenched in sweat, crying. Those dreams...
Shitting everywhere.
Those dreams were the most vivid I'd ever had. It took me an hour to drag myself out of my bed and into the shower, but I finally did it. After my shower, I felt a tiny bit better and decided to head into the city. I arrived in New York after about 20 minutes and made my way to Grand Central Station. I don't know why. I guess I just thought that the business would maybe help get my mind off the song. What is he on about? I sat on a bench for a while.
Mug twice.
Yachts more.
And then went walking around. That's when things went bad. As I was walking, I heard some humming. I heard someone humming, and I realised what song they were humming.
Really trying not to.
Yeah, I know. The temptation is just so huge. I realised what's something. It was the exact same song that I'd heard the day before. The humming became singing, and those awful lyrics started pouring into my head.
Words are in liquid form again.
Just pictured like fucking awful lyrics. Just, I got a dirty mind. I got filthy ways. I'm gonna bathe my Ray in your Milky Way way.
Nuts on your chin.
I turned to my right to where the sound seemed to be coming from. My eyes fell upon a man that was facing the wall. I apologised, picked them back up, and stuck them in the sockets.
I was hoping he'd turn to his left and it was just the iPod walking next to him.
As soon as I looked at him, he whipped around to make direct eye contact with me. His eyes seemed blank, but his mouth curved into an evil grin. I was paralysed with fear. He reached down, opened his briefcase, pulled out a handgun. My legs finally sprang into action. I ran a couple steps and then went sliding along the floor as he pulled the trigger. The bullet was above me and somehow managed not to hit anyone. It hit the wall on the other side of the room. Mass panic ensued. I was carried along with the tidal wave of innocent bystanders, but managed to see security guards tackle the man to the ground. I let the shockwave carry me outside in time to see police arriving.
So does this have anything to do with the evil iPod, or is this just another day in New York?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I slipped out of the confusion and began to run along the sidewalk towards where I had parked my car. I reached my car and hopped in, jamming the key into the ignition and twisting it.
Breaking it.
I raced home, locked all the doors and windows, took my AR-15 out of my gun safe, and sat in the living room. I've never understood
America.
I've never understood people have.
America.
I've never understood people have gun safes because it's like, oh, I'm a why'd you have your guns? They're for family protection. I'm responsible. Okay, so if somebody bursts into your room and jams a gun to your head, you go, it's all right, I'm safe. Let me just remember the combination. It's my wife's birthday, I think.
Hold on, give me 5 minutes. I've got to go unlock this safe.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes me 20 minutes to like undo the safe in the house, like under normal conditions. It's like, home invasion, quick! Oh, this is time for me to fucking shine.
What do you mean it's like reading my fingerprints? And sat in the living room. I sat like that all through the night, too terrified to move. But the next day was Monday. Not Monday!
I hate Mondays and I'm gonna gun it down!
And I had a job. I was a pencil pusher in a cubicle, but it was a job nonetheless.
Turns out he's Neo.
Literally, he just pushed pencils all day.
A big wheel down at the pencil factory.
I didn't shower or brush my teeth or anything. I just got in my car and went.
He's still got his gun.
In his underpants, brandishing a gun, breath smelling of whiskey.
What's an AR? What's an AR? Was it 15? Is that a handgun or like assault?
I
hope it's an assault. I know it's probably not, but I hope he's just got an assault rifle. It's like a really boring version of falling down.
It says it right here. I arrived at the office building with my AR-15 under my seat and terror in my heart. This is taking an awful turn. I forced myself inside.
Phrasing.
And slumped into my cubicle chair. I was just logging into my computer when I realized that something was wrong. There was no noise. And then just short sentences. No typing. No talking.
Wait.
Print.
I just typed it like, AR-15, it is a fucking assault rifle. How'd you fit that under your seat?
I have no idea. He must drive a Hummer or something. Yeah, probably.
Oh, so he's a douche as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he probably deserved it.
It's like the most douchey American thing. A guy in a Hummer with an assault rifle going to work.
Where was I? No printing. Silence. And then, the worst thing that could possibly happen did happen. The lights went out. Silence and darkness. I sat with pure terror and dreaded the thought of what I knew was going to happen. The singing began. It seemed to come from all corners of the office. That awful song. It was then sung by a lot of people. It would have sounded beautiful if the words weren't so hideous, okay? Apparently not, because it was a mix of dubstep and heavy metal.
Yeah, it's just, I can't picture that ever sounding beautiful.
I crawled out of my cubicle and into the next one down. Curled up under the desk against the wall by the entryway and prepared myself for the worst.
Prepare
The
his anus.
singing began to move closer and all around the office. They were looking for me. I knew they were. They
Because
were
Morpheus
looking
had told me over the phone.
They were looking to kill me. Somehow that song had infected everyone's mind, and I was now the victim of some sick hunt, like the Purge or something.
Please don't mention the Purge. I've just eaten recently.
I heard a single voice get louder, closer. I saw 2 shoes enter the cubicle. It was just 2 shoes.
Magic dancing shoes.
It's like, oh, I've got to go out for lunch. It's like, but what about these reports? Don't worry, I've got someone to cover for me. Just 2 shoes, hammer, and a keyboard.
Then turn around, then the shoes, then turn around and walk out. They were searching every cubicle to find me. Not people, just shoes were.
Like, I'm literally picturing, you know, Banjo-Kazooie, like the running shoes, and the little walk on the road before you pick them up.
I'm picturing that MC Hammer cartoon with magic shoes.
That MC Hammer cartoon! What the fuck are you talking about?
I saw a Nostalgia Critic episode recently. It just reminded me of that.
Don't talk about the Nostalgia Critic here.
Oh, where was it? And then, when I thought that things were at their worst, the music stopped. That sounds like it got better, but it was somehow even worse than the singing.
Silence!
Yeah.
Utterly terrifying.
Because I knew that there were dozens of people looking for me that wanted to rip me to pieces. I crawled out of my cubicle and towards the door of the office. It was agonizingly slow, but I was making progress. When I was just about to open the door, the lights turned on and there was a group of people standing in a semicircle on the other side of the door. And these people were worse than the man from 2 days before. These people's eyes were clear of everything. Just the whites of their eyes.
What
They
are
all
you fucking talking about?
They all wore that same demonic grin as the man from before. I stood up and shot out the door with his AR.
They all wore that grin and nothing else. A bunch of nudists.
I stood up and shot out the door with a rush of footsteps behind me. The feet are chasing him, the shoes are chasing him. I raced down the hallway and hit the elevator button. Thank God the elevator was already on my floor.
Just shouldn't stand there.
I hopped in the elevator, pressed lobby, and jammed the door close button. There were no footsteps rushing me. I looked up at
They're running down the shaft.
I looked up as the doors were closing and saw all my demonic co-workers standing at the hallway with those devilish grins, foaming in the mouth, just watching me. He works with a bunch of demons.
Did I not mention I work in hell?
Making Sonic games.
Okay, I got one, guys. How about he's a werewolf?
Yeah, there we go. I pushed my car to the limit going home, sitting with my AR-15 on my lap. The cops didn't seem to care.
Just driving through town with a fucking assault rifle and a worried expression on your face.
I looked for the nearest bell tower. It wasn't a sniper rifle, but I think I can manage.
Imagine that, like, you'd clearly assume it was Robert Downey Jr. I mean...
No, if he's swerving. Or if he's in an Iron Man suit.
For the rest of this story, I'm just going to imagine Robert Downey Jr. as the protagonist. And sat with my AR-15 on my lap and drained of all energy. I dragged myself inside, locked all the doors and windows once again, and stood in the kitchen wondering what to do. I grabbed a snack. No, I grabbed a pillow and some blankets and went downstairs. I shut and locked the door at the top of the stairs and did the same thing to my door at the bottom of the stairs.
You've locked the doors, we understand, yes. Carry on.
I then went into the bathroom.
Lock that door as well.
Yeah, and set myself up to sleep in the bathtub.
I'm just imagining that time Ray got drunk and slept in the bathtub at Nathan's.
Do you remember that time Ray got drunk and slept on my piano? just fell asleep.
Tiny Chinese guy to sleep on your fucking piano.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
I woke up after a few hours and decided to turn on the TV to maybe give myself a small distraction. The television screen.
I suddenly saw on the news that there was a crazy man driving around with an assault rifle.
He did turn on the news. The television turned on to the news, and I dropped my remote. There was my mugshot. The news anchors were sitting, staring at the screen, and singing. It seemed that once my TV was on, they began to sing louder, and the evil in their contorted grins seemed to intensify.
How did he know? How would he know they were singing quietly before his telly was on?
I know, right?
Does he live in the fucking studio?
I stared at the TV, got bored, and switched over to Adventure Time. Oh yeah!
Their eyes followed me as I moved. Then they showed my house, with people surrounding it, and that awful song emanating from their horde. I shut off the TV and heard windows shatter upstairs. I heard thumping footsteps make their way to the top basement door. I heard axes splitting the wood, and finally the door giving way. As I heard them make their way to the bottom door, I was surprisingly calm. I began to hum, and then to sing. The smashing of the door began, but I wasn't scared. I already had the barrel of my gun in my mouth before I realized what song I was singing. And that's the end.
But just before I pulled the trigger, I decided to make sure I had validated my Creepypasta wiki account. Oh, that was a piece of shit, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, it just turned into a really shitty I Am Legend. So, like I Am Legend the movie.
Okay, so here's a comment by Master Hydraff.
It's like a cross between a Hydra and a giraffe.
This is an amazing story. I do feel that there were way too many sentences beginning with I. However, I loved the plot. 8 out of 10.
That voice fits so well with the Avatar picture.
The fucking denizens of the Creepypasta wiki.
Read a book, people!
Here's another one from Tanny Epicness. I say, great work. The run-on paragraphs seemed to take the edge away a little bit, but the visuals for it were tremendous. It was a film. If I may ask, though, maybe a little more backstory on the song? Like, was it supernatural or maybe a mass parasite? Aliens, even. 9 out of 10. Imbecile.
I want to know his chart, the song's childhood, what motivated him, who was his first love. I'm a tosser.
Lots of run-on paragraphs could use a little more space in. Otherwise, not a bad story. Little cliche, but still better than blood and guts as well as vomiting. Those, I mean, it had those, but fine. Those stories bore me, as some people just keep up that theme. So kudos to you, smiley face. Morons everywhere. Okay, so Todd, you found this story. What was it that inspired you to bring it to our attention?
Well, clearly he hates us.
The first sentence and the fact that I had the visual of a guy driving around town with an AR-15 like stuck out his window, like firing randomly.
Is that the sunroof?
Yeah. I found it under the category of music, so even though that had little to do with, I mean, it had the song, but mostly I think it was like just, I don't know, alien parasite iPod songs.
This is one of those things to me that, not unlike okay, well, Matt's just found a picture of a Hello Kitty AR-15, which will probably be on the screen right now.
Oh, there we go.
But yeah, so this to me feels much like something like Sharknado or Jurassic Shark or anything with sharks in.
Or Jurassic World.
It feels like they had the title before they had the story.
Yeah.
Like they went, the day the music died. How about the day the music killed? And then they remembered that to write a story.
Nice Buddy Holly reference.
Just awful. Really, truly awful. Like salty garbage. Todd, do you have anything to say in your defense?
In my defense, yeah, I found this at 3 in the morning when I was really tired. That's the only
That would
thing
explain it.
I imagine the person who wrote it put it together at 3 in the morning when they were really tired as well. Good God, this was shit. And I really actually enjoyed doing this one because it wasn't just wall-to-wall violence the whole way through.
It was just a bit at the beginning.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, today's Mary Sue presents A Rape a Minute, written by a sex offender. Like, it wasn't one of those for once, so that was good.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to go back to Wattpad.
It's always like, if we had it like, we're marking these out of 10, it's always get like a few points because it's not on Wattpad and there hasn't been a lot of rape.
I refuse to get a Wattpad.
That's why we forced Toby to use his.
Oh, there you go.
What was it? Toby's email. You guys made a Wattpad account.
Yeah, hold on. I actually